First of all, this isn't my rodeo for the first time running for mayor. I ran in 2017. So I have a question. First of all, how many people in here don't know who I am? Raise your hand if you don't. You've never heard of me. You don't know me. Good. You're the ones I'm talking to. These other guys, they know me. They know what kind of person I am. I'll tell you why I'm running this year, the main reason. In 2022, September of 2022, there was a police officer who was shot in Hedingham. And that was our midterm election at that time for the mayor's race. And I had a lot of police officers' families, their wives, they reached out to me and they said, we can't vote for the people on the ballot because there were 3 Democrats who were running at that time. And they said, do you mind if we make you a write-in candidate? And I said, certainly. I didn't mind, but I didn't think it would be effective. I didn't think it would do any good. And I was a little shocked when I got 2,500 votes for not even being on a ballot. So it kind of resonated to me a little bit that I have a greater responsibility to the city than I actually knew I did. And I want to speak for people who feel like they don't have a voice. And the main people are the ones in this room especially. You pay your taxes every day. You don't break any laws. You're not downtown. You're not starting trouble downtown by blocking up traffic with whatever your issue may be. You like to handle things peacefully, lawfully. You want to support every single branch of our public service. You want to support police. You want to support firefighters. Yes, we all hate paying taxes, but you know where the money's generally going to. We want to support the things that actually support us. I will tell you that the city council has lost their way when it comes to that. It's worse than you could possibly imagine, though. They have spent the last 15 years focusing on one project. Does anybody want to guess what that project is? Take a guess.
Trains.
What? No, that's not the project. Try again.
Dix Park.
Dix Park. Anybody want to guess? Anybody want to guess? How much money have we allocated for Dorothea Dix? Anybody want to take a guess?
The selling price was $50 million, right?
There's $60 million to purchase it. What'd you say, Dick?
They don't get much done yet. They haven't done much yet.
But what have they allocated for it? How much?
69 million.
How much?
69 million.
No, they've allocated $500 million for Dix Park. Did you hear that number? Anybody want me to repeat it? $500 million. Now,
the Neuse River in there.
Now they said it's going to parks, right? When they did the parks fund, they said this is going to parks. The majority of that money is going to Dix, whether you want to believe it or not. The majority of it. That's $500 million. How many police officers can we have for that money? How many firefighters can we have for that money? How would you like to pay police officers and firefighters? And I would even like to pay our garbage men more money. I would like to actually take care of our city workers who actually take care of us. That means something to me. But putting that kind of money into a park that will never, you hear this word, I'm going to say it again, never repay its investment to the city, to the citizens of this city who put that money in. I'll even prove this to you right now. You ready? How many people in this room have gone to New York City just to see Central Park? Raise your hand if you went all the way to New York City just to see Central Park. Wait, then let's turn the camera around. You see anybody raising their hand to say, yes, I went to New York City just to see Central Park?
Zero.
The answer is zero. Every time they talk about Dix Park, you know what words they use when they talk about Dix?
Destination Park.
Destination Park. I don't know anybody leaving the beach that'll go see Dix. I don't know anybody leaving the mountains or Asheville or Cherokee or anywhere to come see Dix. It is not going to be a destination park. My definition of a destination park, it at least has a roller coaster or a water slide, okay? Which this place will not have either. My counterparts, and by the way, I talk about Whitney and I talk about James as guys who are going to be working with me on this. And I'm going to take this second to say this as well. I'm begging you, everybody in this room, I am begging you the best that you can. We need to find 1 or 2 more people to run with us. We can be 3 voices on the council, we can get drowned out by 5 other ones. I would rather us go in there and have a majority so we can actually do something versus just sit there in the room, disagree, look pretty, I'm sorry, look interested, I guess, and then walk away and go home. We need 4, I really want 5. If you know somebody running in the other districts, I'm begging you, talk to anybody that you know. Somebody in District D, somebody in District E, somebody in District C. I want to talk to those people because I want to bring them in on what we're doing. Now, I know Whitney and James, they've both talked about public safety. Public safety has been a crisis for 10 years. In the year 2001, we had 800 police officers in the city of Raleigh. Y'all want me to repeat this? In the year 2001, we had 800 police officers in the city of Raleigh. That was the last year we had a Republican mayor. That was Paul Coble. Okay? Anybody want to take a guess how many police officers we have now? 690. So our population has doubled in a 20-year span. We can easily say that, right? The area of the city of Raleigh has expanded, correct? Right? And our police force has contracted. Does that make, laugh. Yeah, does that make any logical sense to anybody in this room? No. This is a recipe for high crime. This is a recipe for why break-ins are happening in downtown or other places. The police are undermanned and understaffed and underpaid. I kid you not. And public safety has not been a priority in the city of Raleigh for 15 years. If anybody on the council now, including Mary Ann Baldwin or anyone else, if they say, oh, we focused on public safety, you can feel free for me to call them a liar right to their face. They have not. They have focused on Dix Park. That's all they focused on. One problem with Dix, when we decommissioned Dix, our homeless problem became an exponential issue, okay? Our homelessness has grown by leaps and bounds. It isn't just because of Dix, but it didn't help. And when they had a perfectly good facility that we could have helped transition homeless people from off the streets in that facility, we could have taken care of them, figured out, do they need long-term care? Are they physically and mentally incapable of taking care of themselves? If we could have done that and had a facility for them to be examined and diagnosed, we can take people off the street where it is not safe. It is not safe. And we can help these people find long-term care. There's plenty of programs out there for that. Your money, your tax dollars, you pay money to the city every year. And part of those funds go to nonprofits. You guys realize that? Yeah. Okay. So if your funds are going to nonprofits, why aren't nonprofits jumping in and helping with the homeless problem now? It's because the Democrat-led city council is sending that money to left-leaning organizations, and they aren't doing anything to help the city. They are just making sure they get Democrats reelected. We need to have a serious audit on our budget to figure out which nonprofits no longer need your hard-earned dollars. Because in this economy, you need as much money in your pocket as you could possibly have, as opposed to paying money to a nonprofit who's going to just try to get a Democrat reelected. The issue of affordable housing, and I want to get on this for a second. I had a very, very long conversation with some state legislators over the last 2 years about what we can do to broaden our tax base. If you don't know, the city of Raleigh has 161 state-owned properties that pay 0 in property taxes to the city. Do you understand that? Do you understand why? Do you want to know why? So it's a basic contract. It's a law that's in place. But it was a basic contract to say, we're the state government, we're going to employ people, but we're going to make sure that we have tourism as well. And 2020 happened. What happened in 2020?
Flu.
COVID, right? So what did the state do? The state decided that they want to allow their workers, the people who came downtown every day, to go home and work remotely. What does that mean to our city? What does that mean to downtown? See, I got a man right here. He's already shaking his head. He already knows what. When 20 to 25% of the state government, the government's workforce, now are working remotely, that means your lunch counters aren't full anymore. Nobody's coming downtown to spend their money, right? It's great for Wake Forest and Zebulon and Clayton and Holly Springs and everywhere where these people are working now. But it's a detriment to us. This is why downtown is vacant. This is why Fayetteville Street looks like a ghost town now. Here's the kicker. Your current city council has no clue why the workforce has shifted. They don't have any clue at all. You want to know what their solution is to bring people downtown? Whitney, do you know?
Well, one of them was the being able to carry a beverage out.
Oh, yeah, they want to spend, $15-20 more million to upfit Fayetteville Street because they think if Fayetteville Street has a bunch of pretty lights and a big old North Carolina symbol in the middle of Fayetteville Street, that's going to bring people back downtown Raleigh. See, Dick is like he's going down there tomorrow just to watch it be done. Right?
When he's going to Dick's Park.
Listen. When the workforce has shifted, I talked to state representatives Tim Moore. I talked to Jason Sane, other state representatives, John Harster. And I said, guys, look, we have this massive shift in the workforce in downtown Raleigh. We're losing businesses. Clyde Cooper's Barbecue, what year did they get? What year did Clyde? In the 40s?
Yeah.
Something like that. Clyde Cooper's is gone. They're leaving. They've already said, we're out of here, right? It's not because that the crime is so horrendous that they can't go to work every day. It's because they can't fill lunch counters anymore. When all of your downtown businesses can't fill lunch counters anymore, they don't want to be there. Clyde Cooper's would be better off going to Zebulon now because that's where all the remote workers are.
And they don't have parking.
Okay, I'm glad you bring that up, by the way. One of the things that I am going to propose when I become mayor, I'm going to say it over and over again for you guys to hear that. When I become mayor, state-owned properties, like the legislative building, any other state-owned property, I don't believe they should ban you from parking there after 5:30 at night. I think people should be parking as free as possible downtown. The biggest reason why, you already paid for it. You've already paid for that space. You should be able to use it after 5:30 at night if nobody's parking it. Now, if Whitney goes downtown and he gets really drunk and he leaves his car in the parking spot, I hope they tow you, Whitney, all right? Because, why did you do that? I can't believe you did that. So part of what I wanted to do to help out the downtown area, I want to get rid of Central Prison, and I want to get rid of Women's Prison out of downtown Raleigh. Does anybody know anything about those properties? You know anything about them? Women's Prison is about 189 acres. Central Prison is 44 acres. Women's Prison houses about 1,300 inmates. Central Prison houses about 1,100 inmates. Exactly, you just said wow, right? Okay, so for 225 acres in downtown Raleigh, they only house like 15 or 2,500 people. You can put way more people in those spaces, right? You can build townhouses, row houses, condos. You can build livable spaces in those areas. Two things that this will do. Number one, it gets rid of properties that are completely underutilized and not paying a tax right now. Brings in people to live in these spaces that they can be there 24/7 every single day and start helping bolster our downtown businesses, which will help us all the way around. These were projects that I brought up to the guys in the General Assembly, and then they told me, well, guess what, buddy? After we saw the complete nightmare that has been Dick's Park, we wouldn't work with a Democrat mayor to do this. Yeah, that's right. So, here I am. I am here to pitch my ideas to the general public, to explain that broadening our tax base to making downtown more livable will reduce crime, will bring in more police officers, and we can pay for it without having to raise your current taxes to do it because we're broadening the tax base to do so. Does everybody agree that that's a logical plan?
Yeah.
Good. I need you to tell every single human you know who can vote in these city limits that you know a logical, reasonable, rational person who wants to lead this city in a better direction than where it's going now. So if anybody has any questions about me, I want to tell you guys, go to my website, fitsforraleigh.com. I'm not going to back down from any issue on my site. So if you have questions about it, please ask me. Because everything that I proposed is about bolstering employment, broadening our tax base, and making our area more livable and safer at the same time. And I don't want to raise your taxes to do it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me now. I couldn't have been that concise. Go ahead, Dick.
I know you're a numbers man because you tell everybody.
Every day, bro.
Hallelujah. The amazing thing is we are to have the organic growth of this city and this county ought to be enough with the increased value that's created by new buildings. You can't go 2 blocks without seeing red clay. That we wouldn't have to raise property values and tax rates at the same time.
Let's talk about the new buildings.
Go ahead.
The majority of the new buildings going up right now are vacant.
They're what?
They're vacant.
Yeah, they are.
They're vacant. We have more vacant commercial space in Raleigh than we have ever had in the existence of this city. More vacant commercial space. Now, I have been a strong advocate. Okay, I'm a mortgage lender. I put people in debt for a living. That's my job. Right? But there's a golden ray, right? I help them buy a house. I help them have shelter. I help them have a place to live. And the truth is, housing is one of the greatest ways in this country to build equity and to build wealth. If anybody disagrees with that, I will have a private debate with you anytime, any place. Even though I've generated $500 million of mortgage debt for people, I guarantee you I've generated a lot more wealth for those people at the same time. So I've been on the side where I've issued the debt, but I've seen what it's done for their lives. I've helped people get out of debt. I've helped them refinance, to help them save money every month. I've done a lot for their finances, so I understand finances better than anybody. Oh, and by the way, if you can find a person on the city council right now who's done more for housing than me, I would like to shake that person's hand. Because nobody running for office has put more people in housing than I have. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the state and the property and not the state not paying any kind of money in terms of taxes to Raleigh. And you also mentioned that there's a whole bunch of people who are working outside of Raleigh, not in the buildings. So what is the occupancy that the state has in the buildings that they have, and what new buildings do they want to build if they can't fill the ones they have?
So I'll tell you the truth. I've asked Josh Dobson, I've asked a few other people to get me the numbers of what the actual workforce is that has shifted. The way I've viewed it has been somewhere between 20 to 25% of the workforce has shifted. Now, to say that, the state doesn't care that they have vacant commercial space, but I do, because again, it's an area that I'm not collecting, the city is not collecting taxes on. And I want to repeat this. When you figure out how much acreage the state owns in the city of Raleigh, and the size of the square footage of those buildings, they shortchange us about $150 million a year in property taxes. That's a lot of money. I don't care who you are, that's a lot of money. The city of Raleigh has a $2 billion debt. They have $2 billion of debt on their books, right? $150 million a year in property taxes would be really great. Help us hire more police officers, right? But my conversations with them, and I'm not trying to change the state law. That's not what I'm trying to do. Because the state owns property in every single municipality wherever you go, all right? They're not going to pay taxes either. But I wanted the state legislators to recognize our burden. Raleigh has the heaviest burden of any city in the entire state. And because the workforce has shifted, they have to recognize their responsibility to us in the city of Raleigh. That's why I brought it up to them. And the truth is, I don't know how much time you guys spend with these legislators. Tim Moore is one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. I mean, he's got one of the best sense of humors. While I was explaining this to him, he sat back and he looked at me and he goes, "Some days I really hate you," right? Because when I explain him with numbers and stuff, he's like, "You're right, I can't fight this. I can't argue with this. You're right." But they do not want to work with a Democrat mayor going forward, because when the state sold Dix Park to the city of Raleigh, there were some promises made that were not kept, by the way. The state of North Carolina said, hey, you should use mixed use development, you should have housing, you should have other things on there. And they, nope, 307 acres of a park. That is the biggest waste of space I've ever seen. When the Democrats in our city claim that they believe in affordable housing. They had a plot of land they could have started that claim with, and they chose not to. So that's why Tim and other guys have asked me. They said, if you really want to make this pitch to the city, you need to be the guy running on the point for this. Here I am.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Explain who Tim Moore is in case somebody doesn't know.
Sorry, yeah, if you don't know Tim Moore, he was Speaker of the House, or he still is technically Speaker of the House. In the General Assembly. He's also, he won his primary for Congress, so Tim will, after November, Tim will no longer be in the General Assembly. He will be a congressman in Washington, D.C. Great guy, he's been a great leader for our state. He's done a lot to reduce our taxes. He's done a lot to bring jobs here in the state. He's been a great leader, and I respect him and I appreciate his friendship too. So, yes, ma'am.
I have just a question of this whole group. How many of you remember when it was against the law for any building within sight to be higher than the state building?
I personally don't remember that. I don't remember that.
Can you repeat
I
that
thought
so
we
people
were
can-
the.
Yeah, did you guys hear the question?
No.
And I'm sorry, ma'am, what's your name?
Betty D.
Betty? Yeah, so Betty asked, she said, does anybody remember a time when there was a state law that no building would be higher than a state building? And I was born in Raleigh.
It was the crown of the old
Oh, the
Capitol.
crown of the old Capitol. So I'll tell you how old I am. I'm 55. I was
I'm
born.
90.
Hey, hang on. hang on. I'm 55. I was born in Old Rex Hospital. So I can honestly tell you that the tallest building in this town that I remember as a child was the old Holiday Inn downtown that they're going to tear down. That was the tallest building that I knew as a
But
kid.
that was away from the
Correct. Yes, ma'am. That's right.
old building.
Any other questions? Give me something hard, y'all. Don't give me softballs. I'm here to go ahead and give you the best of the best. So please ask me a tough question. Like Donnie Harrison, he always asks me tough. Yes, sir.
Would you be willing to put the recycling center back at J.C. Park for the city of Raleigh?
I'll give you an easy answer for that. I don't know. That's not something I've researched yet, and I'm not going to lie to you and give you a general pandering question. I don't know. I would have to research
Why
it.
do we have to go out of Raleigh to the county to recycle things?
If I remember correctly, those are county recycling setups anyway. Those are county
I
operated.
know that.
Yeah. That would be a county
It's
question.
an issue.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All I grew up in South about graffiti, homelessness, and what's going on?
Well, it kind of goes back to, I'll be honest with you, it kind of
Repeat
goes
the
back.
question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Molly's so good, man. Molly's like, say the question again. So Patrick said that downtown, there's graffiti, there's homelessness, there's panhandling, right? You know, what can be, I'm sorry? It's not just downtown. No, it's not. It's all over the city. And
Anytime there's a traffic light.
that's
going
correct.
up,
Even on 540, anywhere you go, you're gonna see the homelessness. You're gonna see everything,
Little
right?
Avenue.
And again, this has been an exponential growth problem that has happened under the Democrat watch, right? To me, this falls under the umbrella of public safety. It's not saying it's a police officer's job, but it still falls under the umbrella of public safety. And I will just tell you that if you look at all the budget across the state, the one thing that you need to know about the state budget, 56% of the entire state budget goes directly to education. Did you guys know that?
Yes.
So y'all know that, right? Public safety doesn't have earmarks that way. It's just not the same. It's always left up to the city to figure out public safety. I really think that public safety should be an issue that covers the homelessness. I think these people, if they've gone through a drug issue or they've lost their home through divorce or something, those people can be transitioned back into tax-paying, able-bodied, working citizens. But when it comes to people who are physically or mentally incapable of taking care of themselves, I think they need to be transitioned to a long-term care facility, group home. You know, those homes receive state and federal funding. And I think people who are in that position, they need to be taken to a care facility. They have no business being out there. It's just not safe for them.
Paul, don't you think that the small rural towns are a lot safer than Charlotte, Greensboro, and Raleigh?
In general, sure. Yeah, I believe it.
Because they don't have the crime, they don't have the Democratic leadership, they got the Republican leadership.
In once you leave Wake County, once you get out of the quote unquote blue counties, yeah, the majority of counties in their municipalities that have, right leaning, Republican leaning councils or even commissioners, they're gonna still weigh heavily on public safety. I'll give you an example. You guys see that fellow over there with the orange shirt with his arms crossed? Y'all see him? Right? Donnie Harrison was one of the best leaders we've ever had in this county. All right? Yeah, applaud him. Applaud him. But let me tell you, he's a one of a kind. All right? But if I would have called Donnie on the night that they were having the riots in downtown Raleigh, if I was mayor of this city at that point, I kid you not, Donnie would have got on the phone and called Sheriff Bizzle in Johnston County. Look, he's shaking his head. Look, he's doing it right now. Donnie would have called Sheriff Bizzle. He would have called his buddies on the old highway patrol. I would have said, Donnie, listen to me. The governor wants to let these riots happen. I don't. What can you do to help me out? Donnie would have got on the phone and called other sheriffs, highway patrol, or anybody else. There wouldn't have been one brick thrown through a window if I'd have been the mayor of this city during 2020. I kid you not. I wouldn't have tolerated it. I would have been down there shoulder to shoulder with him if I had to. So I don't want to be a guy who's got the talk. I don't want to do that. I'm a lead by example kind of person. I hope you guys see that in me. Anybody else have any good questions? Give me hard questions. Go ahead, this guy. Yeah, you. I see. Yeah, come on, brother.
What do you think about Raleigh City Council's 10-point plan for improving Raleigh, including adding more swing sets?
Yeah, I saw that. Look how moved I am right now. Yeah, again, their number one plan was Fayetteville Street and what they wanted to do to Fayetteville Street. If they see Fayetteville in my lifetime, okay, again born here, right? In my lifetime, Fayetteville Street was a street.
Yeah.
And then they bricked it in. You guys remember this, right? You remember when they bricked it in? We had a Live After 5 on Fayetteville Street. You guys remember that, right? And they said, no, it needs to be a street again. Every single time they've changed Fayetteville Street, it's been a cost to you guys. It's raised your property taxes. You have to pay more money for somebody's want and desire to do something to a street. It is nonsense. What they want to plan right now, they think will revitalize Raleigh, will not work. The greatest way to revitalize our downtown area is to make downtown more livable, and that's why I'm targeting underutilized state-owned property, because the state of North Carolina owes it to us to have those spaces for what they've done with the workforce shift.
I got the hard question.
Here we go, come on, hit me.
You're going to have 4 or 5 candidates for city council. Right?
Are you talking about for my race?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I'm saying for the whole city council.
Okay.
How much money is that going to take?
Honestly, I think my race is going to be over $250,000.
Well, I mean for 5 different candidates.
I don't know about the other races, though. I can't tell you yet.
Okay.
I'm just being honest about my race.
There was a question back.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
So I thought North Carolina outlawed sanctuary city.
They have. Yeah. God, I love Molly. Well, actually, is that just it? That's it?
Is Raleigh a sanctuary city?
Yeah.
Technically, no. Technically, I'm saying technically, no. The question, first of all, was sanctuary cities are outlawed throughout the state, right? According to the state legislature, all right? They're outlawed, right? Not in Nashville, not in Durham, not in Carrboro, not in Chapel Hill. They're writing their own tickets. Now, Raleigh, technically, under the radar, they will tell you they're not a sanctuary city. But in action and practice, they are. When you have the homeless, the encampment areas that we have, the tent cities that we have, not all those people are citizens. And there's a lot of people here who are undocumented who shouldn't be here. And the truth is, Democrats bring them here for the same reason why they bring them to New York or Chicago or anywhere else. They just want illegal voters. They'll give them whatever form of ID that they can to make sure that they can go into the poll and vote. And that's why they have them here. And I kid you not, I will get rid of any kind of illegal migrants that have no business being here. I will get rid of them, I promise you. Yes, sir.
So there's a number of Democrats who've thrown their hat in the ring.
One more today.
What's that?
One more today.
Who is that?
Terrence Root said he's gonna run again.
Okay. Do you expect that Mayor Baldwin is gonna run?
I will tell you guys, right now at this moment, I 100% believe that Marianne Baldwin is not gonna run. It would be a shock to my system if she did at this point. I believe that Janet Cowell, who is the former state treasurer, I believe that they have kind of given the soft handoff on the baton to Janet Cowell. That's what I believe. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you the truth, I would love to be wrong on that. I would love Marianne. I actually want to send Marianne flowers so she'll run. So, Molly, I'm gonna hand it back. Listen, I want to tell you guys, hang on. Yes, sir.
Let me make one comment. Paul is right. When I was sheriff, I asked for a meeting with Raleigh. They had tore up Durham, and I talked to them, and I said, you know, it's not if they're coming, it's when they're coming. And so they wanted to know what my ideas were, and I told them, because I have been in riots before. Make a long story short, they looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, okay, I said, let me tell you this, I'll give you anything that I can give you to help you. I said, I'll give you jail vans, people, I'll be there with you, in front of you, beside you, behind you, it doesn't matter. I said, but let me say this to you. In 1985, the sheriff of his county, if he sees they passed it in the Attorney General's office, that if he sees a violation of the law in his county, regardless where he's at, he can make an arrest. And I told him, I said, I don't flaunt being sheriff, but I'll assure you, I will be downtown. If they start breaking the law, my men will go to work. I cannot tell you what to do, but my men will go to work. Well, I lost. And the mayor came back after the riots and so forth and made this comment. If Donnie Harrison had been sheriff, we'd had a lot of people hurt. But we just had some property damage, and the insurance company will pay for most of that, which is totally wrong. But I just want to tell you, he was right, because I did have that conversation.
Donnie, I will always thank you for everything that you did, and I will tell you once again, you're one of the greatest leaders I've ever known, and I really appreciate what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. Again, my name is Paul Fitz. I am running for mayor in the city of Raleigh. If you have any questions, go to my website. It is fitzforraleigh.com, fitzforraleigh.com. If you have a question about an issue or anything on there, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will explain to you as best I can why I think my issues are important. And I really want your support. I really need donations, because we're going to need it going up. I know y'all hate to hear that. I hate to ask. But we do need them going forward. And again, Molly, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here tonight.